I cannot stop listening to Jimmy Brown's I Can't Stop Crying When I Masturbate. That is stuck in my head. I cannot stop thinking about it. So, that's going to be just bumping in the back of my brain. That's just going to sit there while I think about this year. How we doing, gamers? I'm going to go try and find... let me actually see. I should just have shit in my music folder, because I'm one of those people. I'm going to go and try and find the entire Final Fantasy VII Remake soundtrack. What's this? Oh yeah! Alright. I'll fuck with it. No, I won't. I don't know. Look, we're gonna find something. Let me just find like 7-hour version FF7 remake soundtracks. 11-hour FF7 remake OST. I bet this exists. No, it doesn't. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Here we go. Peaceful Final Fantasy VII Remake music. That'll play in the background. Why don't we let that play in the background? Last hours in 2024. That is true. We're gonna let that play. Now that might be too loud. However, I have no control over that. So... by that I mean I have complete control over that, and yet I'm not gonna do anything. This song. Look, it's relaxing. We're relaxing with sadness. We're in big sad boy hours now. How do I make you not fucking massive? Here we go. There. With 2 songs. Look, we're not gonna have 2 songs for long, because it is 2024, and I played some games. Don't worry. See, the music's gone. The music's gone. It's just this. Hello, Ben. This is a list of the games that I can just about remember playing, plus Fallout 4 that I do not remember in the slightest. These are video games I've played. There are probably a couple here and there, like small bits and pieces of games that I do not recall. However, these are the things I do kind of remember playing. Now, you may look at it and think, huh, why are there things in red? Are those your best games of all time? Are those your greatest games of all time? No. I did not have anything to say about these. The 4 games that are in red, I've got nothing to say about them. I didn't play them enough to really have, like, anything in my head about them. Fallout London I forgot about. There we go. Fallout London's something I forgot about. Fallout London is a game that I'm looking forward to going back to. That's a game I want to continue in the new year. And my, not New Year's resolution, because I'll break it if it's my New Year's resolution, is to play more indie games and more kind of not AAA games. This is also not everything I've played. This isn't just games I've played on stream. This is games I have played that I can remember. I did play the Volume 1 collection. Fallout London was using Fallout 4, but not the way I played Fallout 4, but we'll get into Fallout 4 when we get into it. Need a fact check on me playing Volume 1. Look, I played Volume 1. It goes to a different school, you don't know her. So yeah, this is what we played. Or what I played. Some of which we played, some of which we didn't. Some of which I spent too much time on. Fucking hell, Balatro, man. But yeah, so the 4 games in red, won't be talking about everything else. We're gonna have a chat about. So I hope you're all locked in. I hope you're all ready to have a relaxing time while I talk about some stuff I did this year that is not of like legitimate value, but like emotional, spiritual, cultural value. What the hell are we starting with? Also, I think Rebirth is the last slide straight-faced, but I'll let you know if it comes up. So, We're going to kick off. We're going to begin with the Ichiban, the best, my favourite, my personal game of the year. I did make a PowerPoint. I made a whole ass PowerPoint, my guy. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Now, when we're talking about Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, we have to remember I played this at the start of the year. I think I finished it in around March, in around sort of springtime. So it's been a while, and it has still stuck with me as my game of the year. And I think that's because Ryoga Kotoku Studios is just peak. They make incredible games with an astounding variety of things to go and do. Just high quality business. And Infinite Wealth in particular is such a wonderful little story. I say little, it gets really ridiculous, but it's such a wonderful story about effectively why friendship is magic and why the power of friendship will defeat all. Because it does at the end of the day. You play through Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and you are basically following, if not always Ichiban himself, the cult or ethos of Ichiban. The man is just this radiating wave of good vibes, and I love him. I love him so much. I think he might be my favourite character that RGG have ever written. And that's bold. By the way, I'm streaming. I don't know if you've seen. I'm now live, streaming Just Chatting Year in Review. Like, I loved Infinite Wealth. An incredible number of side activities you can go and do, and you can also choose not to do. And they're all high quality or in their own way, shape, or form. There's no, like... There's nothing I can think in that game where I was like, this is pointless. Why is this here? Everything felt like it was given 110%. And I think that's because... And my philosophy going forward forever is going to be... More developers need to reuse assets. More developers need to reuse assets. Asset reuse fucking slaps. It is the coolest. It is the best. If you reuse assets, you're sexy as hell. Okay? I want you to know that. If you're an asset reuser developer, sexiest in the world. Okay? It's fucking pog. And I think looking at Like a Dragon, Yakuza, Pirates in Hawaii, or whatever the hell it's called, Yakuza in Hawaii, Pirates in Like a Dragon, I'm a little worried about the future of the series going overly wacky, but then I come back to this and it had so much wackiness and was also so grounded. I just love it. I love Ichiban. I love the story of it. I'm hoping RGG are going to be able to stick the continued landing. But it is my game of the year. Like I said, I played it like back when it came out, which was the start of the year, and it's sat with me since then. And right now I'm talking about it and I'm thinking, I just kind of want to go replay it again. I want to experience it again. I loved Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. If there was anything this year that if I had to only pick one game to play, it would be Balatro, because I'm addicted to Balatro. But secondly, it might be this, if they added Balatro to it, which they won't. But if they did, I'd be fucked. So yeah, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, adored it. Great game. Just a wonderful time had by all. And asset reuse fucking slaps. Now, we're going to follow up Infinite Wealth, me just talking about high quality video game, with another high quality video game that I think less people are going to be pogged about, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try my best. And that's Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Now, I think Call of Duty Black Ops 6 may be my favourite Call of Duty of all time for the single player. To be clear, in this, I'm not going to talk about the multiplayer, which is Call of Duty. I'm not going to be talking about zombies, which is fun. I've had fun with it, but I've got nothing like a value to say. For me, Black Ops 6 shows a development team that is clearly very, very, very passionate. Have a lot that they want to do, have a lot of brilliant ideas that they execute very, very well, but it is marred by the fact that it is an Activision Blizzard game and it is Call of Duty. I have friends, I have people I respect and adore who will probably never play the single player of this game because it's Call of Duty, and it is incredible. There's a variety of different genres that it goes through. You have like, you have this Bill Clinton mission where it's almost Hitman-esque. You have to figure out different routes, different ways that you can go. You've got a Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain level, where you're in the Middle East and you're driving around and you're taking out different objectives. You have an Ocean's 11 style heist mission in a casino that is like zipping between different viewpoints, and it's, I think, the only point in the game it does this. It's zipping between different viewpoints. Brad Pitt is Kiryu in this. I don't know why he is, but apparently that was a fit, if I remember right. What was his name? Who's Ant-Man? Paul Rudd? Paul Rudd took that fit on too. And then the image that we have on the left here, this one mission is like, I played this mission, and if you only showed me that mission, if you only had me play it, I'd be like, Black Ops 6 is one of my favorite games of this year. It is Bioshock-esque, involves you finding different key cards and playing almost a completely different video game, but that completely different video game happens to have Call of Duty's controls, and as always, Call of Duty controls very well. It's a very fun video game to play. You're like solving puzzles, you're finding different lore tidbits. I think the story goes a bit like crazy, but in a way that I was fully on board with because of the way it built it up. And I think that one mission for me cemented that this game should have had a staggered release, and I'm not usually a big fan of this, but I think the campaign should have come out a week sooner, and people should have been able to play it before the multiplayer. Because as always with Call of Duty, I think it gets buried under a very competent multiplayer that a lot of people are going to be very angry at random times because one gun does 2 points more damage than the other gun, and another gun looks funny but not funny in the right way, and you can spend $400 million to make your gun have an anime girl pop out and go, "Ooh, Oni-chan, you're so sugoi!" But setting all the shit aside, that unfortunately makes the company a lot of money, there is real heart in that campaign. There's probably a lot of morally questionable business, because of course there is. It's Call of Duty, there always is. But you can see like an artistic vision that is executed very well. I do think Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is one of my top games of this year, just on the single player alone. You're so sugoi. I'm so sugoi with my 0.1 KD, baby. But yeah, I love Black Ops 6. The campaign was phenomenal. If you haven't played through it, even if you haven't played through it and you've listened to what I've just said, and you're like, oh, I've spoiled it, play through it. I haven't gone specifically enough into some of the things that happened, and in that one mission on the left, there's some really, really cool stuff. It almost feels like the team who do the outlandish, ridiculous zombie storyline that is absurd were told, right, you guys come here, I'm going to focus you through a lens, and you just make something like tight and pog. And I had a great time with it. Also, that's just Bill Clinton. Real as Bill Clinton is in this game, you can blackmail Robert McNamara's wife. Is great. Highly, highly, honestly, highly recommend the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 campaign if you have Game Pass and like a 5 terabyte per second internet connection, because maybe you'll download it before the end of the year. It was great. Big fan of it. I wouldn't normally, like, I always go to bat for Call of Duty somewhat because I think they're very tightly designed games. This is the one that I would go to bat with against like people who don't like Call of Duty. I think it really is good. But following Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is something I don't need to go to bat for, because everybody should know how good it is. And also, I should stop playing it because it's Balatro and my life is fucked. This game is it's something about it is specifically designed to lock onto the receptor in your brain that goes, I am going to do this, I'm going to win, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. And then when you lose, you're like, no, I'm still the best, I have to keep winning. It is gambling with all of the genuine fun of gambling, because unfortunately human brains are wired in a way that gambling works. Human brains are designed to be like, do you know what? Gambling, I love it. It's the best. I'm going to gamble constantly. And the downside to that, you lose a lot of your money because the house always wins. However, you don't lose any money in Balatro if you ignore that one video where someone added real gambling to Balatro. If you've not seen it, watch it after this because it is real. Someone made it so that the game will PayPal. You pay PayPal to the game, and then if you win, you get paid PayPal back. But it is so tightly designed, so well thought out. Honestly, a perfect phone game. And it really does like lock on. And the wonderful thing about Balatro is that it is made by, and I hope that I never have to eat these words. I hope that this never comes back to bite me in the ass. It's made by a developer who seems very scrupulous around gambling. He's talked about how, like, in his will, he's got a part of it that's like Balatro cannot under any circumstances be sold to a gambling corporation or a casino company because they would monetize the hell out of it and fuck over lives. He's made the perfect way to gamble without having to take any of your money. It's phenomenal. And I love the story behind it, right? It's one guy who was making a game for some friends that exploded. The soundtrack, if you don't already know, the soundtrack for Balatro was apparently just some random guy off Fiverr who Local Funk, the developer of Balatro, went, I need to get some music for this game. Popped onto Fiverr, paid a guy some money, popped out this pretty cool soundtrack, and then that was played at the Game Awards. I died. It's great. It's like the exact development success story that you would want to see. It is not replicable in any way, shape, or form. But to have it happen, to see it happen, is just wonderful. And I wish Local Funk all the success in the world. It's great. It brings me so much joy. And I do think that if I was going to recommend a game off this entire list, this would probably be the game I actually recommend you go play. And then when you come to me and you go, why did you recommend this to me? My life is ruined. I'd go, mine too, brother. But I love it. It's great. There's going to be a lot of really positive sentiment here, okay? We will get some minor negative sentiment, but I fucking love the games I played this year. Even the games I'm not so hot on, I really liked. Even when I get to points when I'm a little negative, I'm still going to be like, well, I enjoyed some of it. And I think that's what I want in 2025. I want to try and carry forward looking for the positives in the things I'm like playing. But before then, we're going to talk about something we can all enjoy, which is pegging. Now, Peglin was my mobile game that I was playing before I was playing Balatro. It is a pachinko kind of Peggle-based roguelike. And also I played a bit of Enter the Gungeon. And ultimately what, for this slide, we want to talk about a little bit is how much I am feeling the absence of true handhelds. Since the Switch came out, we've kind of moved away from true handheld consoles, and that's got a lot of positives. You know, the Switch allows for some really high quality, incredible console level experiences. The Steam Deck has come in, you know, response to the Switch has blown up. A lot of PC gamers are now on Steam Deck, and it's great. There's a lot of competitors for it. We're getting a lot of full home console experiences on handheld devices, which is cool. Unfortunately, I think that there is an argument for limitation, breeding, via pegging, breeding some more creativity, some more unique ways to take on challenges. I don't know if one of my favorite games of all time, Shin Megami Tensei 4, I don't know if that would be a better game on a home console, if it was developed for a home console. I think something about the format of it on a 3DS works really well for me. Peglin is a game I play on my phone, and my phone is a stand-in for a handheld console. It's not an actual handheld console. It's not the PlayStation Vita. It's not the 3DS. It's not the Game Boy Color. And I think we've lost something there. I think that there's a real loss of like an artistry that I think will have a resurgence. You still see it in the indie scene, like, you know, smaller developers giving it a go. But I think the fact that we're not going to be getting these kind of more handheld focused experiences from the bigger companies is a loss, because there is a lot to limitation. It's not always ideal, but when you've got some limitation, you figure out ways around it that breed a bit more It's a bit more unique to me. And Kiwami means extreme. Hello, Lewis. But I love Peglin, just to be clear. Talk about Peglin a little bit. I love roguelikes. They're good fun. Enter the Gungeon, also good fun. Peglin's a great phone game. Very easy, though. Of all the roguelikes that I think I've played this year, Peglin's one of the easiest. Excuse me. It doesn't require too much of the player. And it allows you to scale really quickly. But basically, I miss the PlayStation VR. I seem tailor-made for Deep Rock Galactic, potentially. I'm tailor-made for one thing and one thing only, and that's the PlayStation VR, not pegging. Anyway, I love roguelikes. We won't talk about too many more roguelikes, but we will talk about this roguelike. I had played Vampire Survivors. I uninstalled it from my phone. It was a couple years ago when I played it. I uninstalled it because it ruined my life. It didn't ruin my life, but I spent too much time on it, and now I'm doing that with Balatro. Slay the Spire! So Slay the Spire is here. I've been playing Slay the Spire on my phone again, like Peglin. Balatro's taken over the slot, but more here because I talk a lot in stream and just in general about how much I like roguelikes, and I think the reason why is, for me, roguelikes. So when you fail at something, you learn from it, right? In life, in everything, failure is the best teacher a lot of the time. Not always, because, you know, if you fail to push the brakes on your car and you crash and you fall off into a cliff and then you get knocked unconscious by a flying bird that you flew into and then you're isekai'd into another world with your smartphone and a big-titted goth GF and now you're the savior of humanity and I'm the villainess, that's a bit much. But generally, it's a good teacher, and I think what I like about roguelikes is that it gives you the opportunity to have those moments of failure and success and failure and learning in an environment where I'm not going to be fired. It's scary at work if I screw up. I don't want to screw up at work. That's frightening. I might lose my job. If I screw up in a roguelike, do you know what I've done? Whatever I've learned from it, whatever I've done in it, I can then move on and move forward. That's happened to you once? Am I your big-titty goth GF? I hope so. But yeah, so I talk a lot about how much I like roguelikes, and I think it's because we are built to learn from failure and improve, and roguelikes are a great way to do that in, like, short bursts. And it's not for everyone. I know I've got friends who are not big fans of, like, when you fail in a game or when, you know, you have a problem or hit a roadblock. And I get that. I'm like that too for certain things, but I think if you're not someone who plays a lot of roguelikes and you don't really get the appeal, for me personally, it is that failure. You go in knowing it will happen and knowing that getting to it means that you're going to get further next time. That every time you fail, you're learning a little bit more. Slay the Spire has been great for that. I'm very much looking forward to Slay the Spire too. It's great. It's a good time. I think of all the mobile games I've probably put forward, Slay the Spire's up there for me as a recommend. But yeah, big fan. Big fan of it indeed. Now, I don't know. I think this next one is going to be a little less exciting for some, but it's exciting for me. And the one following it will probably be less exciting for me. So, the next one is Ben Bigger. This is Ben Bigger. He's a bear. He's in a tank top. He's hot as hell. And I've been playing a lot of Zenless Zone Zero. For those who have been around, you know I've been playing Honkai Star Rail, and then Zenless Zone Zero came out, and I've shifted to that. I do want to go back to streaming it. I love Zenless Zone Zero. I think it's really, really, really well designed. I think it's really tight, but it did... What's on his nose? Nothing. It did pose a question for me, which is, does this game exist without the uncomfortable element of effectively gambling? I would say gacha as a soft way to be like, oh, it's got gacha, but ultimately it is fundamentally gambling. Now, you can choose not to put any money into it, you can save and scrimp in the game, but you are not going to experience all the content that way. You're not going to be able to get certain characters that way. And it's not a case of player choice of like, oh, I'll pick on this run, I'll pick this one, and then I'll get the other one. No, this game will have limited time events. I'll have limited opportunities to get certain things. And this happens in MMOs, but the monetization in a lot of mobile games is a lot more aggressive. Zenless Zone Zero is clearly a game with a lot of character, a lot of love, a lot of passion. The development team over at MiHoYo clearly care a shit ton about what they're doing with their games. You see it in all the little elements in this. And it's great fun to play. It feels phenomenal to play. Super tight, super responsive. The characters are all really fun. The story suffers a bit for me, which we will talk about in a bit. But I'm left with this like feeling where I play it and I have a good time, and I log in every day and I play a little bit and I'm having a good time. But in the back of my head, where, like, is this a positive net for the industry? And I do genuinely think it's probably not. But like the way I still buy shit off Amazon, I know that this is probably bad, and yet I'm still doing it. There's like a character flaw within me that makes me play gacha games. And that's just my opinion. And I still enjoy it, and I'll still have a good time with it throughout the next year. But it leaves me with that question of, what does this look like, right? What could the industry look like if we didn't have this? And we never will. We'll never get away from it. There'll be no regulation on a substantial level. If anybody's seen that Steam video recently of the gambling stuff, you'll just get x-ray scanners. It'll be fine. But I have loved Zenless Zone Zero. It's brilliant. It's high quality. It's good fun. I would recommend it to folk that I didn't think would be susceptible to gambling. I, however, would recommend Balatro to people I think are susceptible to gambling, because it will keep them playing Balatro, not something else. But yeah, where do I sit with it, really? And where will I sit with Zenless Zone Zero after a year? Because I have stopped playing Star Rail. Not because I didn't like Star Rail, but because I dropped off for a little bit. And one of the problems with the way these games work is that they're always constantly, consistently, non-stop updating. There's always something new, there's always something new, there's always something new, and you're missing out on the last new thing, and you're missing out on the last new thing, and you're missing out on that new thing. And now when I try and start up Star Rail, I'm hit with this feeling I had when I played Fire Emblem Heroes. Which is, I took a break, and the game does not facilitate me taking a break. And it wasn't because I wasn't liking the game, I just had other things going on, and then I was like focused elsewhere. But now when I try and go back, it doesn't let me almost. It feels like it's decided that I've taken too long, I've taken too big of a break, and it doesn't want me back. And it will try and get me back, but it will try and get me back with all the gambling elements, with the, hey look, here's more ways to get summons, here's more places you can spend your money, get your returner packs now. And it's a shame, because again, Honkai Star Rail is a very well made game. It's very well made. That development team has a lot of passion, and I don't know if they would still be able to make this game if they weren't making the money from gacha, essentially. It's kind of an unfortunate element of just us existing in capitalism, is that there's a lot of talented artists, writers, coders. There's just so much talent in that team, but the only way that talent can be focused, the only way that talent can be utilized, is in the way it makes the most money for the company. So much money that they have a nuclear fusion reactor, which I don't know why, I don't know what they're doing with it, but they just have one. We might all one day be under the thumb of MiHoYo, you know. We might go into MiHoYo pods instead of Amazon pods. But that's where it is. Like, I can't change how the game works. I can't do anything to make it not feel that way. Maybe when I stream it again, I'll feel better. Original content. Oh, Nick, you've missed some big ones. But this will be up on VaguelySomeone. On my VaguelySomeone. Where's Pokemon on the list? Trev, Pokemon actually didn't make this list, unfortunately. But yeah, I feel so strange about Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero. About gacha games in general. Because so much of them I like, and so little of them can be, I feel like so little of them can be made without the element that is morally egregious. Trev, I love you. Don't worry. You can dislike me. I'll still have love for you in my heart. But we'll move away from gacha content, gacha talk, gacha business. And we're going to look at this fuck-ass man. Look at him. Look at him. That's Leon S. Kennedy. The S stands for staring at me. He's fucking scary, man. I did not get into Resident Evil when I was younger. My earliest memory of Resident Evil is playing Resident Evil 4, getting to the village, the Chainsaw Man showing up, and me turning off my GameCube, and then, like, next time I was at my dad's, it'd be every 2 weeks. Next time I was at my dad's, I'd be like, maybe this time I'm going to play Resident Evil 4. Maybe this time I'm going to do it. I'd get to the Chainsaw guy, I'd turn off the console, I'd probably switch back to playing Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, and I would move on. Because it fucking scared me, man. But when I tried to play the fixed camera games, I really, really couldn't get on with them. And this was like a long time ago now, when I tried to play them and I couldn't get on with them. I just couldn't vibe with them. And playing Resident Evil 2 recently, I think with having played the remake, with having played the modern games, and with me going in knowing... I went in knowing that I'm not a big fan of the control scheme. But instead of going in as just like, I'm not a big fan, I don't like this, I went in as like, I'm not a big fan, but I have friends who do get on with it, who do really like it, so why don't I try and set as much of that feeling aside and engage with it as much as I can, right? Not for me, but because the people I care about, people I love, people who are my friends, you know, they do like it, and I want to experience the things they experience. I want to empathize with their experiences, because if they're having a good time, I want to have that good time with them. I don't want to be the guy who's sitting in the back of the class being like, fixed camera tank controls are actually stinky. I want to be up there. I want to be having fun. And I think that willingness to have fun was big for me, like enjoying playing Resident Evil 2. Because by the end of it, I'm sitting here now and I'm thinking, you know what? I don't mind that control scheme anymore. It's still not my ideal, but I'm kind of happier with it. And it feels good. It feels good to like shit. Do you know that? Do you know that, like, being positive, like, having positive ideas, it's fucked up, but, like, thinking positively has, like, a feedback effect. Thinking negatively has a feedback effect. And that's beyond fucked up. But we can't control it, so why not try and, you know, find things that you can love? And find love in things that you don't. Because it's there. The media you don't like probably has something you like. You just have to find it. Anyway, that's enough personal introspection. We're going to talk about something completely different. Another Resident Evil game. However, this one is more... Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space both got remakes that released at very... not the same time, but close enough. And I feel that Dead Space lost in the race here. The Dead Space remake is excellent. Okay, if you like Dead Space 1, play Dead Space Remake. It adds a bunch of cool stuff. It's really good. Highly recommend it. But I think conversation about the Dead Space Remake just dropped off the face of the earth when the RE4 one came out. And it makes me sad. They are so similar in so many ways. It looks incredible. They are so similar in so many ways. And I'm not trying to use this to dog on the RE4 Remake. The RE4 Remake, also incredible. I want to say for both of these games... neither of which did I think should have gotten a remake. I was like, I don't see why either of them should get a remake. What's the point? What are we changing? What are we doing? You can access both of the games. Dead Space less so, but you can still access both of the games. And then both remakes come out, and you know what? Fucking phenomenal. Incredible duo of games. But Dead Space exists in a sort of shadow of the Resident Evil 4 remake. I'm putting this on here mostly because I do want people to play the RE4 remake, but I want more people to play the Dead Space one. Because I feel sorry for it. For a game that probably sold millions and made a company a lot of money and gave shareholders a lot of value, I feel somewhat sorry for the people who worked on it. Because their art was like, it's like you've got a painting in the Louvre and then next to it you have a bigger painting of the Kingdom Hearts box art. And you're like, well, I mean, the Mona Lisa's probably sick, but fucking Donald Duck's on this one. Makes me sad, but not in like a big way. And they're both so good. Again, like I said, both are remakes that I don't think needed to exist. I didn't... Resident Evil 4 especially is on everything. If you own a piece of technology, and I mean more than Skyrim, if you own a piece of technology, Resident Evil 4 probably runs on it. So we have PS2, GameCube, Zebo, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch. Was there a Vita version? I don't remember, but PC and then a secondary PC version. It's everywhere. You can play Resident Evil 4 whenever you want. And then they remade it, and they made a brilliant game. But the clunkiness, if anybody like says Resident Evil 4 original is clunky, they're out of their mind. They should go play Resident Evil, the original. Like, what are they talking about? Dead Space is less accessible, but I would have been fine with ports. But then they released 2 phenomenal remakes, so where am I with that? I'm not an anti-remake guy, for the most part. I'm somewhat pro-remake. I think it allows for interesting explorations of older ideas, especially in video games where so much can change over time. This medium is like developed so quickly, added so many new pieces of technology to it, that I think seeing these older ideas redone is cool if it's substantial, and I was impressed to see that for both of these it was substantial. Anyway, we've talked about Resident Evil so much. I feel like maybe we should take a break and talk about Resident Evil. This one... I played Village again this year. I played all of these games this year, just to be clear. This is the whole point. But I played Resident Evil Village again this year, and a little bit Resident Evil 4, and I was struck by just how much Village feels like a game made by people who loved Resident Evil 4 and wanted to make a Resident Evil 4 remake, but didn't want to make a Resident Evil 4 remake. They wanted to give it another go. They wanted to try some of the ideas in a different way, and it's great for it. It suffers a little bit for it. I think the way it tries to structure itself is maybe a bit too close to Resident Evil 4, and so some ideas don't get enough room to breathe. The castle is incredible, but I do subscribe to the idea that some of the elements of the castle should have gotten more room to breathe, and I'm not just talking about Lady Dimitrescu. I'm just saying in general. And things like the mercenaries was added so late. Well, it was added in the, I think it was already in the game, but then was like updated so late. It feels like there's something more that needed to be done with Village, because Resident Evil 4 is already like a perfect game for me. Again, not to say it doesn't have flaws, but it's already like a perfect experience for me, and Village doesn't feel that way. Village feels too much like it's trying to do Resident Evil 4, and not quite enough that it's trying to do its own thing. There was no Chris Werewolf transformation scene, which is insane, because the box art, look at it there. I was ready for it. I was excited for it. I was on board with it. I was going to rip my shirt off too, and alas, no Chris Wolf, which sounds like an incredible street magician. But yeah, I had a good time with Resident Evil Village on the second playthrough as well. Like, Resident Evil as a series, because we're probably not going to talk about it again, fingers crossed, as a series is one of the few that I replay. I don't replay a lot of games. I don't go from start to finish on a lot of games that I haven't, like, it has to be a game I've not played in a long time, or I would maybe just play the start of a game, or like a small part of it. Resident Evil games I'll just play through start to finish. I'm happy to do it. They make those games so replayable, and I don't understand what it is. There's some kind of special sauce in them. What's the third game in the middle? Don't worry about it. That's not a game, that's something else. But yeah, I enjoyed playing for Resident Evil Village again, but a second playthrough highlighted for me how much of it is Resident Evil 4, and then I was like, I want to go play Resident Evil 4. And then I played Resident Evil 4, and do you know what happened? I was like, holy fucking shit, this is Resident Evil 4. This game's fucking brilliant! It's so good! Anyway, I'm looking forward to whatever the next Resident Evil is. But we're far from that. And unfortunately, I don't think he's here right now. So this is in tribute to a man who is still alive. Prof. My heart. My love. My sweet. He's none of these things. He's a German man, who I'm a big fan of. And I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 with. And we're not done. We're, I think, at the start of what would be Act 3. I feel ways about Baldur's Gate 3 that I feel about the game that's going to come after this. But I think Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that is not going to be for me at the end of it all. And that's not because I don't like a lot of it. And I think I will still replay it. I think there's just an aspect of it that falls flat for me. And it is in the choices given. I think if I didn't know it was D&D related, if I didn't know that it was kind of attached to a tabletop where choice is a bit more free, I wouldn't mind as much. But sometimes choices that feel very logical to me don't exist. And sometimes I make choices that are presented in a way that makes sense to me, and then they happen differently, and I go, oh, this is a video game at the end of the day. I'm in the tunnel. And this tunnel winds, and it turns, and it has so many offshoots, and you've got slides, and you've got ladders, and you've got snakes. But ultimately, you're in the tunnels. I do also wonder if Baldur's Gate is a game best played solo. And I only say that because there's so many choices that you as a player can make, and there's like interactions with your party that you lose if you're playing with someone else. I could just play Meat and Fuck Kingdom instead, or I would if it's still on Steam. But for instance, when you play Baldur's Gate 3 in co-op, at least for me, it's like I've got one character, Prof has one character, Prof is taking up a slot, I'm taking up a slot. For me, as the player, on my own, I go from potentially having 3 unique characters to 1 unique character that is for my guy. And Prof could probably have like let me do stuff with the other one, but it feels very separate. It feels like, well, that's Prof's guy, and I've got my guy. And my guy's going to be pushed off a cliff at some point, and then everybody's going to talk about how, you know, they're going to have a tough life after this point, even though they're not coming back. But I think it harms the experience. However, none of that is to say that I haven't enjoyed my time. I've had a great time with Prof. It's been good fun. The race war starts later, or hopefully not at all, if I have anything to say about it. But I've had a good time with it, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. We should be playing this Saturday. But yeah, I think I'm going to come out the other end of it and think, that was fun. I've had a good time with my friend, who I care for very deeply, and I would highly recommend him. I love Prof. But I don't know if Baldur's Gate 3 is my kind of game. I think that's because I can't read, probably. Something like that. Did I have anything? I do have notes, by the way. I know we've not like gone into it, but I do actually have notes. Yeah. I feel so strange about Baldur's Gate 3, but not as strange as the next game I've played, which is Assassin's Creed Unity 10-2. Now, this is a thought process that has taken me a long time to get to. We're currently partway through the DLC. I've been trying to think of what it is about Cyberpunk that is throwing me off. And I think it is the second coming of Assassin's Creed Unity, which makes sense if you're in my head and not in someone else's head who is listening to me and thinks that I'm an idiot. Assassin's Creed Unity was a game that came out, bugged to fuck, got a horrible reputation because of it, and has since been patched into a more manageable game, right? If you play Assassin's Creed Unity today, you're not playing the same experience that people got at launch. I had it around launch. I had to trade it in because the game broke in a way that meant I could only play multiplayer missions on my own and not play a single actual single-player mission. Cyberpunk released, fucked to shit, could not play it, bugs everywhere, was removed from the store, and then was slowly worked on. Now, Cyberpunk has the benefit of being made by CD Projekt Red, a developer that built up a lot of goodwill and a lot of loud people on Reddit because it was The Witcher 3. That was the game. We love The Witcher 3. It's the best game of all time. You swing a sword a bit and Geralt goes, "Ugh, I'm not gonna kill you, sexy werewolf." You're breathtaking, Nick. But Cyberpunk got a lot of goodwill, it came back up, and I do then think Edge Runners was a massive boon to Cyberpunk, getting a bunch of people come back in and be like, oh, we can play it, oh, it's not as broken anymore. On a fundamental level, though, both of these games now work, kind of. Cyberpunk, I'm still running into bizarre bugs where missions are just breaking completely, so it's not completely fixed. On a fundamental level, the core design for both of them doesn't work for me. Unity has too much stuff in it, and like I said, I've been playing a bit of Unity. Unity has too much stuff in it. There's so much stuff, you're not going to get away from all the stuff. And Cyberpunk feels really weird to play. Everything feels like... I feel like my controller is covered in, like, fart goo. Did you ever get that fart goo where it was in a can and you squeeze it and it makes a noise? I don't know if that came through on the mic. If it did, I'm very impressed. When I try and jump, I don't quite jump. When I try and sprint, I don't quite sprint. When I try and do anything in the game, it just feels off. And I don't know how to feel about it. I've said this before. I think I'm going to finish it, and I'm not going to know what I felt about it. There's a lot of stuff I've done in that game that I've enjoyed. There's been good fun. There's a lot of stuff in that game that's not worked. And there's things in that game that I'm using as seemingly intended that don't feel good. I'm looking forward to whatever Cyberpunk 2077 2 looks like, or Assassin's Creed Unity 10.2 DX Lightning Returns. Because I think a second pass at it will be an interesting time. But my experience with it is just marred by the fact that at the end of the day, it is the same game that came out in, what, 2019, 2020, whenever Cyberpunk came out? It does say more about the industry than rushed out, that is true. It could have done with a bit more time in the oven, and I think the time that it had out of the oven, but still being, like, worked on, there wasn't room to change some of the foundation, and the foundation isn't stable for me. And I think I feel that way about Assassin's Creed Unity too. I've tried replaying it recently, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it, because there's a lot of cool stuff in this game, but it's built on top of a foundation that I think is flawed. And I wish for both of these games, because Unity didn't get it. After Assassin's Creed Unity came out, Assassin's Creed Origins came out. A game that entirely changed the way Assassin's Creed worked to be a completely different type of game. For better or worse, that's for each individual to decide. My sister loves Assassin's Creed Origins. I'm not a big fan. But I never got to see... Well, no, so Syndicate came out. This is the thing, right? A game did come out after Unity, and I've completely blanked on it because nothing happened in it. Nothing was built on in a meaningful way from Unity. It might as well have just been Unity to Origins, because Syndicate didn't do anything to improve upon Unity. If anything, it tried to get away from it. It actively runs away from some of the things Unity did that were interesting to streamline them. You don't need to do parkour anymore. Here's a grappling hook. And it makes me sad. And I hope Cyberpunk doesn't suffer that fate. I hope the next Cyberpunk game builds upon what Cyberpunk had and does a bit more. And also, Cyberpunk 2077 2 should also be canon to Final Fantasy 15, just like Assassin's Creed Origins is. Anyway, I've talked enough about stuff I don't know how to feel about. Let's talk about something I do know how to feel about. I fucking love Metal Gear, man. Delta's here. Delta's not even out, and I've put it on here. Do you know why? Because I like Metal Gear. I'm excited for Delta. I'm looking forward to Konami giving it another go. I played a bit more I played MGS5 a bit. I played some of the Volume 1 collection. I didn't encounter massive problems with the Master Collection. I know that there were problems, and from what I understand they are fixed, but unlike the foundation of Metal Gear Solid is solid. They are phenomenal, and I may have said this before, but for me, Metal Gear Solid is like really close to me. One of my earlier memories is of watching my mum play Metal Gear Solid 1. It was like my first big series I remember playing. Metal Gear Solid 2, I think, is the first game I ever finished. I didn't finish any other games until that. Like, I'd played Metal Gear Solid 1 a bit. I got scared of Psycho Mantis. I'd played some Crash Bandicoot, some Jak and Daxter, some variety of different things. Fahrenheit, which was Indigo Prophecy in America. But Metal Gear Solid 2 was the first game I can remember properly completing. I love it. It's really close to my heart. And when I was growing up, I didn't have a lot of friends who played Metal Gear. I didn't know people growing up who played Metal Gear. I had friends who I played Jak and Daxter, I had friends who played Ratchet and Clank, right? So I didn't know anyone who played Metal Gear. I don't think I had people I could really speak to about it. Until Metal Gear Solid 5 came out. Or like before Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, I'd just gotten into Reddit, you know, my tragic backstory. But I was in the chats for like the pre-release. I was really excited for it. I was looking at the leaks. I was having a great time. And then I got to meet through Metal Gear Online and through streaming. I didn't have a lot. I had friends. I swear. I just didn't have Metal Gear friends. But I ended up playing via Metal Gear Online, via streaming. I met a lot of really wonderful people. I met Stealth. I met Adam. I met Uvi. Hello, Mr. Toku. I didn't meet Mr. Toku there, but still nice to see him. I met a lot of people through it. I met Prof through it, if I remember right. Like, I met him through doing Metal Gear streams. And it just sits so close to my heart that I am really looking forward to Delta. And I want the series to continue in some way. I'm happy, again, I'm happy with remakes. I'm fine with remakes. I'm just happy to see the series getting something. And there's not really much that I like. The games themselves, what could be said about them has been said. I like the Master Collection is great. If you've not played Metal Gear, highly recommend the Master Collection to get into it. It's available on most platforms. I think it's very well put together. It has a lot of cool extra features. But it's a series that has like always sat with me. And it is something I'm really happy I can talk about. I could have talked about it before, but when I talked about Metal Gear with friends before, I was like, they didn't know anything. They didn't care. Metal Gear, hey, Adam. But yeah, Metal Gear is my favourite series. I love Kingdom Hearts. I may have played Kingdom Hearts 2 this year, but I can't remember, so I've not put it on the list. I love Kingdom Hearts, but Metal Gear Solid is just so dear to me. And I'm just gushing about it. There's not really anything of substance here. Get it? I'm just talking about it. I have like 7 copies of Metal Gear Solid 2. I love that game. It's great. And I love it. And I love you. So when you're in the shower and you're sitting there and you're crying while you masturbate because you're Jimmy Brown and you're 20 years old and your liver's failing, remember that I love you. And that you should love yourself. Anyway, I don't know how to feel about Assassin's Creed, ever. Speaking of Metal Gear, let's talk about Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed is a Metal Gear. I have been playing a bit of Rogue, and I played a bit of Valhalla, and I played a bit of Mirage, and I don't know what this series wants to be. I think that the shift... I love that you love yourself in the bath while watching me. I think the series shift to like an RPG, almost pseudo-Witcher game has been a net negative for me, but then I talk to people and they love it. I've been playing Rogue and it's weird actually, because I play Rogue and it genuinely makes me wonder what it is about Assassin's Creed I like. Because I play Rogue and I'm like, I'm having a time. It's not a bad time. I'm having a time with it. And then I stop playing and I think, why was I doing that? There are more meaningful experiences I could have had. There are stronger feelings I could have had playing something else or replaying something else. But I played Assassin's Creed Rogue. And I had a time and it wasn't bad. But can I say it was good? I don't know. Because when I go introspective, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm going, you should shave. I don't know how to feel about it. And then I play Valhalla, and I go, I don't recognize this anymore. I don't know what this game is. This game is massive and sparse. And there's characters talking about all sorts of stuff, and I'm in London, and I'm killing British people, and I don't know how. I'm like, well, at least that's fun. I love killing British people, but that's it. And then I play Mirage, and I go... Oddly, this game feels like a mirage of older Assassin's Creeds. I found out that Mirage got patched, because when the game came out, it was meant to be like older Assassin's Creeds, and it wasn't, so they patched it to feel a bit more like it. Like, the Ubisoft right now feels so... They're struggling against... They're struggling against what the current Ubisoft is versus what the past Ubisoft is, and I don't know if it would just be better if the series stopped being about assassins and Assassin's Creed and the cool parkour stuff and they did something else with it. And I would still be sad because I love the parkour. Revelations was cool. I love the parkour. But they don't want to do it. And I don't know if I want to play a game by a team that don't seem to want to do it. Now, maybe Shadows will feel different. Maybe Shadows, they've done a lot more and they've shifted the focus and they now want to do it again. But Ubisoft feel like they're fighting against doing what Assassin's Creed used to be. And I would rather, instead of them fighting it and coming back and forth, just let it go. Just let go and move on. That's fine. Ubisoft is full of talented developers. Ubisoft gets shat on so much, and rightly so. They make a lot of the same shit over and over. But in that same shit, you can see these like fires, not embers, like full-on fires of people who care about what they're making, who are putting a lot of work and effort into it, who are trying to make it as good as it can be within this rigid corporate structure. And I just want them to be let go. Not fired. Not let go in that sense. But just let them do what they're gonna do. And get away from Assassin's Creed. The old Assassin's Creed. Move forward with it. Go to the future. Anyway, that's enough. I don't know how to feel about Assassin's Creed, and neither should you. Or maybe you should. I don't know. I don't control your life. What I do feel good about is my friends. I played Lethal Company this year, I think. I actually don't remember if it was this year or last year, but I'm putting it on here anyway, because no, it was this year. I loved it. It was great. I also played some Helldivers 2. And both of these games made me, like, think, I don't think I would be up in my current, where I am currently right now, I don't think I would ever want to play a PvP game with friends again. I think I'm very much, if I'm going to play with someone, it's going to be co-op. I think watching friends of mine, watching people who I enjoy play PvP games cements in me that I would rather play funny co-op games. I'd rather fight random AI enemies and just have a good time. I haven't drunk my drink and it's going cold. And Helldivers 2 I didn't really play with many people. I don't know if I did play with some people, but I didn't play that much. Lethal Company, however, some of the most fun I think I've had playing with other people. And I love my friends, and I'll show it. You better be ready, because I'm going to show it. Playing Lethal Company with the Instant Replay Live crew, with some friends I have in real life, like, it's been phenomenal. It's so much fun. As much as my shenanigans may cause despair and woe, I think it's a grand time. That is unique. I loved playing Lethal Company. And we need to play Lethal Company, Adam. Because it's just good fun. And it's a game that I don't know, because I don't think it's gotten patched as recently. I don't know if it's going to get much more to it. I think there will be a point when it's just not going to get updated anymore. And I think it also has this unique problem to it that horror games in general have, where once you learn enough about the systems, you can optimize the fun out. Because you know what's coming. You know what you need to do for each individual thing, and that takes away some of the suspense. Now, I do know some stuff, and I've forgotten a lot more. But exactly, the mystery and the fear is a huge part of it. And it's human nature to optimize the fun out of something. You know, when people play a lot of games, they will look for ways to, like, the shortcut. When we do things in life, we often look for the most efficient way to do it. Not always, but we often do. And that can have a real bizarre impact on the way we, like, enjoy art. And in video games especially, you don't really optimize out of enjoying a film or a TV show. You can kind of do it. You can put it on double speed and kind of barely focus on it. But that's so, like, antithetical to the experience. What's the point? Right? Like, that's not even really going to add anything. But in a game, when you optimize it, when you start getting good at it, when you start knowing it, there's a part of you that's like, I know this, I'm learning it, I'm good at it, I'm beating it, I'm winning. And then you keep winning, and then you keep winning, and then what's left? There's nothing. You've won. You've beaten it. You've beat the game. Congratulations, the game is gone. And you can keep going back and keep winning, but nothing's changing now. For a horror game in particular. Now, other games, there's like other dynamic elements to it, but I feel Lethal Company is very much a victim of it because you very much can learn stuff. Which next Star Wars shows, I'm just going to fast forward this one till people talking. Have a go on, Adam. We will play Lethal. I'd love to do more Saturday night games again. That was good fun. But yeah, and Lethal's a great time. And I think it's something that I'm looking forward to playing with more people, more new people. Because even if I know bits, I think I'm still going to have a good time with it. Because I'll know how to, at the very least, if I know that I know too much, but I play with people who don't, I can redirect my knowledge into giving them an experience that is interesting. Allowing them to find things, allowing them to do things, guiding them softly towards parts that will give them experiences they'll love. And maybe that's like the lesson learned there, is when you have something like this where you've optimized the fun out of it, right? Where you're at the end of it and you're like, well, now I'm not getting scared anymore, now nothing's changing, it's all kind of, I just know it. There's some dynamism to it, but ultimately a lot of the challenges I can face pretty easily. Grab some new people and experience it through their eyes, right? That's a great way to enjoy things you've already enjoyed, to enjoy things you've loved, is by doing it through someone else's eyes. By having them come along and be like, I don't know this, let's find out together. And I love my friends. And I will show it. Anyway, I don't remember playing Fallout 4 this year. Now I want you to look at that hour count while I drink my drink. I do not have any recollection of playing Fallout 4. Not a bit. I played 123 hours of this game according to my PlayStation. I played 30 hours of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I played some hours of Shadow of War. I just about remember some Tears of the Kingdom. I actually did what I do remember. I remember enjoying a lot. But I don't remember Fallout 4. These are 3 games that I don't have a lot of memory of playing. But I know I played a fair amount. I remember more of Assassin's Creed Rogue than I do of me playing Fallout 4. Not a single part of my mind can recollect what I was doing. Little goblins did sneak into my house. Pequod was on my computer. And so I looked at that. When my year in review from PlayStation came in, I looked at this and I thought, what the fuck am I looking at? There aren't 4 games, they're only 3. That's not a game. Like, what am I looking at? How the hell have I played this much Fallout 4? And I don't know what that says. Does that say something about me as like a person? Does it say something about the game of Fallout 4 that I played so much of it this year and I don't remember a single bit? No, there's no story I have. There's no experience I can grab from it. There's nothing I can do. And I've played Fallout 4 before this year, and I can remember those a little bit better. But yeah, what does it say about me that I played this and I remember nothing? Some of that is likely, you know, I've paused the game and done something else, but it can't be all of it. I haven't paused the game for like, what, 45 days? Math's hard. So what did I do? 123 hours, allegedly? I don't understand where that's come from. And I don't believe that's like my overall playtime of the game, because everything else I had listed wasn't. That's not Fallout London, because this is from my PlayStation. Fallout London I played on PC, and is not connected in the same way. And I also definitely didn't play that much Fallout London. If we included Fallout London here, if we took it off, that's 115 hours probably, 110 at best. And maybe I need to do something with my life. But I probably won't. But yeah, so I spent a lot of time playing Fallout 4, and I don't remember it. I don't know what happened. I do know what happened. I probably was playing it towards the end of, because the start of this year, was the second half of like my final year at uni. I think in spring, I think I played a chunk of it as sort of a just a like lock on my brain shift to thinking about literally anything other than the stress. And that's what's come of that, apparently. You haven't heard me mention once playing a lot of Fallout 4? I didn't think it too. How you doing, Pequod? But yeah, I think I basically played it in a fugue state, trying not to think so hard about the fact that university was coming to an end, and it was hard, and I didn't know what I was doing, and everything was terrible. And I didn't want to think about it. And then I did think about it, and I was doing university stuff, and I was like, this shit fucking rocks me. And then I'd start Fallout 4, and I'd do something in it, apparently. Something. But yeah. I played Fallout 4 this year, and I couldn't tell you a single thing about what happened in it. Not from this year, at least. I played other games. I played Fallout 4 before. Anyway, let's move on from my fugue state and talk about a game that I didn't expect to put on this list, because I've actually only started playing it recently. Again, it's a replay, because I got the sequel for Christmas, and it came with the first game. And that's Alan Wake. I was going to say 2, but it's not Alan Wake 2, it's Alan Wake. I remember, I think I played Alan Wake back when it launched. It was like 2014. And I don't remember anything from that. Now that's like 10 years ago, right? So I get a pass on that one, I hope. I hope I get a pass on that one. If I don't get a pass on shit I can't remember 10 years ago, I'm not getting a pass on Fallout 4, which I'm not getting a pass on. But Alan Wake I remember playing, I remember enjoying it, and then moving on and not thinking about it anymore. And playing it this time, I'm somewhat taken aback by Remedy as a developer. They will hopefully go down in like the annals of game history. If God, that sounds like a fucking. I sound like I'm on r/gaming. In the annals of pushes my glasses up and they shine. Game history. Remedy will be one of the best. But they made a good ass game, man. It's not mechanically deep. It's not got like 400 different things that you can do. It's not got sick ass parry systems. It kind of does, but it doesn't. But it's damn good. It does, however, it is this kind of like this. It exists in a point of time, and when you play the remaster, you can feel that point of time because it has 100 coffee thermoses that you can collect. What do? They give you an achievement. As far as I'm aware, you get nothing for collecting the coffee. At least you get nothing for collecting a lot of the coffee, because I've collected a lot of the damn coffee. And it's very funny to play like a 360 era game where you just come across stuff. Assassin's Creed 1 is a similar game where it has the flags, and it's tremendously funny on PlayStation, because when Assassin's Creed 1 came out, the PlayStation 3 didn't require trophy support. Trophy support was something that came later for a lot of games, and they made it mandatory down the line. Assassin's Creed 1 has a bunch of flags you can capture. If you capture them on Xbox, you get an achievement. If you capture them on PlayStation, you've captured the flags. Congratulations. You've picked up 100 flags. Good job. You get caffeine because he's right. That's very true. Yeah, they are like. I'm really looking forward to playing Alan Wake 2. I haven't given Control enough time to get into it, but playing Alan Wake 1, I'm just sitting there and thinking like Remedy do very interesting ideas, and they sometimes execute them awkwardly, like with Quantum Break, I believe was a Remedy game, the video game where after each chapter of the video game, you watch an episode of a live-action television show before you play the next chapter of the video game. Often awkwardly, but sometimes awkward's good. Exactly. You know, I'm awkward. I'm not good. Okay, let's think of someone else. Shit, you're all just cool. This is bullshit, man. But yeah, Quantum Break's a funny idea. But the fact that they did it is like part of for me, I'm like, no one else is gonna do that. That's a funny idea. And it's a vibe. It is kind of a vibe. And Alan Wake 2, if you've not played Alan Wake 1, Remaster's available. You can play it on PC. I do recommend it. I think it does... It's this weird mishmash of, like, mediums almost. You know, you play as a writer. You're picking up pages for your book that you've apparently written. It's, like, laid out like an episodic television show, so you don't have chapters, you have episodes. It's pretty good. It's not super complex, it's not super deep, but I don't think every game needs to be. I think I can get my Metal Gear Risings with my Metal Gear Risings and my cool Rising Sword that I got this year. I can get my Alan Wakes with my Alan Wakes, and then I can get my Ballatros with my Ballatron. I can play Ballatron. I could get Flush 5, or I could get 5 of a kind, and then I'm trying to get the Jokers that let me get the multiplier on the 5 of a kind, but I'm not getting them because they're not giving them to me. They're giving me the fucking banana, and the banana's broken. I'm not getting the other banana. Anyway, it's cool. Play Stephen King. Also, there's a character in the game who keeps, like, he keeps referring to Alan Wake as other writers. Like, he calls him Stephen King at one point. It's good fun. Now, bizarrely, we've gone quite far. We're on our penultimate game, right? Apparently I didn't play that much this year. I probably played more. I don't remember any of it because I fucking played Fallout 4 in a fugue state. And some of them have been bunched up. So it's not really that many. But the penultimate game is one that I did not expect, had no idea about. It came out of the blue. And I will sell out for Calorie Mate Liquid for game creators. I don't really know what to talk about with this. This was a very, very, very fun time. I loved playing this. It was such a goofy idea. Straight face, the VOD might be on VaguelySomeone. I could send it over to you. But Calorie Mate Liquid for game creators is a game where you play as a Calorie Mate can, or Calorie Mate, and you roll around, and you're trying to get yourself to the game creator in the other room. Rachel has only played 2 video games this year. This was one of them. She should do her own presentation. I'll watch. But it's really cool. It's also like a super corporate. It is a game very much designed as a corporate, like, look at it, it's Calorie Mate, buy Calorie Mate. But I played it in a country that might be if that's the VOD Mew, thank you for that. I played it in a country where you can't easily get access to Calorie Mate. And also the Calorie Mate drinks, if you are a member of the Calorie Mate Corporation and you are deciding whether or not you want to sponsor me, please disregard the next sentence I'm going to say, as it doesn't reflect the views and opinions of VaguelySomeone Incorporated. The drinks taste like cat sick. Like, genuinely. I've never had anything like that before. I drank it because I got the Calorie Mate biscuit and I was like, oh, actually, the biscuit's kind of cool. It's very dense. It's very dense. It's so dense. And I was like, oh, do you know what? Chocolate one is a very light flavour of chocolate, but I get it as a meal replacement. You drink the drink and it is actually cat sick. There is no ifs, and, or buts about it. If you drink that drink and you go, oh, this is yummy, you could eat cat sick. Next time your cat's hocking up one, pop your mouth underneath and give it a go, because you'll love it. Great protein in there. Sorry, Calorie Mate Incorporated Corporation, ignore that previous bit as well. That didn't happen. But it was good fun. It was good fun. I don't know where it sits as like an artistic endeavour. It is ultimately an advertisement for Calorie Mate, but I came out the other end of it and I was like, I don't regret playing it. I remember playing it. I'm like, and I had a good time. It's great. It's grand. It's Calorie Mate. And if they ever did sponsor me, despite what I've said, I would take it. I wouldn't need to be paid. If they sent me like a single Calorie Mate block, I'd do it. Karen sent me Calorie Mate before, and I was very appreciative of it. It's really cool. I think I still have it with the little note she wrote. It was great. Now there's one game left. That last game is going to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you are waiting to play the PC version of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I put it at the end. You're welcome to pop out. I'm glad if you've come along. It's good to see a straight face. You have a good new year. Because I don't want to spoil it because it's coming on PC soon. But I will be spoiling Final Fantasy VII Rebirth once we switch to it. I've also spoiled Calorie Mate Liquid for game creators, but that game holds up even if you know it. Rebirth doesn't. Anyway. The final game I played this year, and by that, it's one of the earliest games I played this year, and also one of the most recent I think I completed, because I completed it quite late into the year, was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is... Square Enix have somehow made a game where I know I didn't enjoy chunks of the middle, but because the ending was so good, I've forgotten exactly what it was about it. The most I've got is that there is a level of, and we'll get the negatives out of the way, there is a level of Ubisoftian, as we'll call it, design in the world. There's a lot of markers, there's a lot of stuff that is just kind of checking off stuff off a list. For some folk that works. For me, it didn't so much. And I think maybe now if I go back and replay it, I'll vibe with that a little bit more. But my first run through, I wanted kind of the meat. I wanted the meat and potatoes of it. The eye is spooky. Hell yeah. It's a spooky company. The meat, I wanted the meat and potatoes of it. I didn't want all this fluff. All this extra accoutrement. I didn't need it. But the mini-games I had a great time with. Like, the mini-games were substantial for me. So I had a good stuff. I had a good time. The game itself does what I wanted from Remake. Takes what they did in Remake, builds upon it in the gameplay like design. The combat feels like an upgraded version. Whatever the third game's going to be desperately needs a dedicated jump button. And maybe a little bit more tutorializing on some of the controls, and that could be a me problem. I might not have paid proper attention, because have you met me? But it was a good time. Like the actual core gameplay is really solid. The mini-games, the more substantial mini-games where they were like their own thing, they were like an entire little game that they created, were great. Going to a tower and activating a switch to open a load of icons on a map, to then go to a cave where you play the slowest rhythm game of all time that isn't a rhythm game, you're just pressing X 3 times at slightly different intervals. Wasn't fun. For me. Maybe for someone else. And I think it's a small concern I have with whatever comes next, is that the open world itself is going to be handled in a way that I'm not going to like. If they commit to that same idea of all of this stuff in the world, and it's not substantial. Now, putting aside all this side stuff, because I wanted to get the side stuff out of the way, the core game, for me, as somebody who was like really loving Remake and Rebirth as a sequel, right? Remake is the name of it is a red herring. It's a misnomer. It's not a remake. It is a sequel to Final Fantasy VII, the compilation. They've called it Remake, but from what I can understand as a player, as the audience, it is a misdirect, and it is ultimately a sequel. They've called it Remake to try and get you in, because it's the big Final Fantasy VII remake, but you are playing a sequel to the previous compilation of Final Fantasy VII, and it is doing a great job for me. I'm glad people have kind of jumped off Nomura's back, because I know there was a lot of talk in Remake about, Nomura's brought Kingdom Hearts shit into this, Nomura's done this, and then it was revealed that it wasn't Nomura, and Nomura wasn't writing all of this shit, it was Katase, and they were having fun with it. Everything with Zack in Rebirth has really fucked with me, like, in a good way. Like, I fucked with it. It's a great time. Love seeing him. Love playing as him. Every time he popped up, I was like, this is my guy, and then he would go just as quickly as he came. And I'd be like, how could you come and go like that? It's ridiculous. Yep, that's people on Nomura's back, and Nomura's absolutely carrying them. The ending was very... There's an element of the ending I don't like, but it's only because we don't have the follow-up. And I'm talking about an experience that we are maybe 2/3 of the way through. There is more to come, and it feels awkward trying to judge. The same way it kind of feels awkward to try and judge Remake without playing Rebirth, like as a complete experience. It feels awkward judging Rebirth because I know that there's this third part. I think Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, or the Two Towers, it might be my favourite Lord of the Rings film. That might be sacrilege. I'm trying to remember it. I'm trying to remember the others. It might be my favourite Lord of the Rings film. But if I'd only watched Fellowship and Two Towers, I don't know how I'd feel about it. And I'm there. We are still disc 1 into the 3-disc game. Now, to be fair, disc 3 doesn't have a huge amount to it. But we are still disc 1. I'm very much looking forward to the third part. I love the Twin Towers. I miss them every day. 2025 will be their return. That's my big prediction. The Lord of the Rings, they're going to remake the Two Towers. But what I played of Rebirth, it's this middle part, and I've enjoyed the whole journey. All the little character interactions, all the like little bits and pieces, the way they've translated so much of it. The performances, I've talked about it at length. I think Barrett's actor has been robbed, but like because other actors in the game are also very good, and people wanted to espouse how great they were. You know, Aerith's actor does a great job. She absolutely deserves the award. I kind of wish Barrett's voice actor had got them instead, but that's a personal preference. I think he's phenomenal. It's my favourite release of early 2000s. But Rebirth exists in this like meat space. I'm going to call it a meat space where I don't know how I'm going to feel about it come the third part. Maybe I'll look back on Rebirth and be like, actually, it didn't hold up. Or I'll look at the third part and I'll be like, actually, Rebirth was fucking bang-a-rooney. It's a game I look forward to replaying one day with a fresh set of eyes. Because when I played it the first time, I was all wide-eyed and bushy-tailed going, "Ooh, wowee! It's Zack Fair, my waifu!" But hey. I was kind of create sound with music. But Rebirth isn't my game of the year. I'm ending on it, but I started on my game of the year and I've ended on the game that definitely isn't my game of the year. I know for a fact that Rebirth isn't. And I feel weird saying it like that because it feels like a negative statement. It feels like I look at Rebirth and I'm saying it's not my game of the year. And that doesn't sound positive, but it's not negative. I liked Rebirth. I loved Infinite Wealth. I think Like a Dragon has meant like more to me than Final Fantasy has. I'm not someone who connected with Final Fantasy VII when I was younger. It's hard to when you keep replaying the reactor because your friend is missing a memory card. My experience with Final Fantasy VII was mostly Crisis Core, and I love Crisis Core. So I'm going into this as like a, not an academic, because that's a stupid thing to say, but as a... I'm not a super fan who's mad that the remake is different. I'm not a super fan who's excited that the remake is different. I'm somebody who is a fan who is looking forward to seeing the things that they do and what they might mess with. And I don't have a connection closely enough to worry about that. I am an enjoyer. The video game enjoyer has logged on this stream and has talked about a lot of video games. Too many video games. Far too many video games. Speaking of video games, we're gonna do quick back through to everything. I played some games this year. I played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Battletro Peglin, Slay the Spire, and Enter the Gungeon. I also played Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake and the original, Dead Space Remake, and Resident Evil Village. I also played Cyberpunk 2077, Baldur's Gate 3, Assassin's Creed Unity, and Lethal Company. Alongside Helldivers 2, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, Metal Gear Solid Volume 1 Collection, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Rogue, Alan Wake, Stellar Blade, Astrobot, Fallout 4 apparently, Middle-earth Shadow of War, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Calorie Mate, Liquid for Game Creators, and The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. I remember most of these games. There are games I've probably played that I haven't listed on here because I don't remember playing them. I think I might have played Pokemon Sword. I know I told Trev I didn't play Pokemon, but apparently Pokemon Sword was on my, like, you've played this year. I don't remember that. Straight face back. But I played some cool games this year. However, if you look at this list, one thing stands out, and that a lot of these games are from bigger companies, AA or AAA, mostly AAA. And I'm sitting here thinking that I would like to expand that horizon more. I used to play a lot more indie games when I was younger. I don't know what really shifted. This coming year, it's not a resolution. I would just like to attempt to play some more indie games. I've been gifted one recently. I'm very thankful for that. I was gifted one a while ago and I haven't played it still. I gifted a couple a while ago. I've got Signalis. I've got Crow Country. Let's have a look at some of the games I've got. And by let's have a look, I mean I'm going to have a look and I'm going to talk about them. So Miside, which came out recently. I've got Signalis. I've got Crow Country. Apparently I've got a game called Bradley's Tonic and Salves. What is this? Nope, that's Deadlock. I'm not playing Deadlock. You cannot trick me into playing Deadlock, Valve. Why have you put it in my account? Lord of the Rings Gollum I still haven't played. UFO 50 I'd quite like to play. Metaphor ReFantasio is still on there, actually. That is something that I'm looking forward to playing this year. I want to play less long games, saying that I'm going to play Metaphor. But Metaphor is on that list of long games I do want to play. Stanley Parable, if you haven't played Straight Face, it's a good time. But I want to try and play more things, and I want to try and play more recommendations, and games like Resident Evil 2 that I didn't like, and I want to give another go. I really want to play Silent Hill 2, the original, because I've played that before, but I didn't get very far, and I'd like to give it another go. Because then I'd like to play the remake afterwards. I'd like to play the remake with the context of the original in my head. But I'd like to play more video games. I've played a lot of video games. Alan Wake 2's on that list, because I've got to get through Alan Wake 1. And I've had a good time. For most of them. For the ones I don't remember, I'm not sure. But for the most of these games, I've had a good time. I like video games. I think they're fun. And I think my friends are fun too. And sometimes playing video games with friends can be good fun. I just won't play PvP games with them. Prof will try and get me into Tarkov, and if I play Tarkov with him and he yells at me again, I'm gonna cry. Yeah, so we played some video games this year. What did you play? What have we played this year? What have we played? Cap's played 0 games. I don't believe him. In theory, on paper, video games are good. In practice, on toilet roll, I don't have a follow-up for this. I'm going to just bow out of it. Lethal Company I'd like to play more of too. But I'd like this list to look very different next year. Weirdly, if Fallout 4 is on this list next year, I can't think of a thing that I would do. If Fallout 4 is on this list next year, I'll play through Starfield, but like really corporate. I'll wear like a suit and I'll play the whole game as if I'm sponsored by Todd Howard personally. Because I don't think I should play Fallout 4 this year. That doesn't include Fallout London. I do want to play Fallout London. That doesn't include Fallout London, let's be clear. But I would like to play more games. Hello, PJ! This list does need more Kuma games. We've got Stellar Blade on it, but I didn't even talk about it. Like I said, this will go up on the VaguelySomeone YouTube channel, and I will post it in my Discord and in places I might find it interesting. I should play a good game and pretend it's Starfield. No. Joel's interested for this list. I'm looking at it. I've got no Atlas games. I've got no Personas. I've got no Shin Megami Tenseis. And I should. Because I played Soul Hackers 2 this year a bit. Just popped into my head. I played some Soul Hackers 2. I had a good time with it. If I talk about it very briefly, it is a game that I think I like a lot. And I'd be hard pressed to recommend, because Soul Hackers 2 is very much a game where if you don't like the combat, you're not having a good time with it. Because it's mostly combat. It does hack your soul too. I told you, there's games I've played that I don't remember. I played Ishin, and I didn't put that on the list. I've been streaming Ishin, I didn't put that on the list. Ishin's in a weird place in my head because I kept starting it and not continuing it. Yeah, it's right, and spit it wide open. I don't have any thoughts on Ishin though, so Ishin would be in red. I'm currently I'm head empty on Ishin. I'd have more to say about Soul Hackers 2 than I do Ishin, and that's no slight on Ishin, I just don't have anything to say about it right now. I want to play more indie games. I want to play More games. Well, not more games. I want to play games that are more meaningful. FF16 also wasn't on this list. And much like Ishin, I don't think I would have said much about it. See, it's really because FF16 and Ishin are not on my recap. They didn't appear on my recap at all, which is bizarre because I did play them on PlayStation. Final Fantasy 4 and 5 I also played this year. Fuck, I see so many games that I don't remember. So many games that I played this year and I don't even remember them. I have beaten Gold. I beat Gold Snake with the blue deck. You got to catch up to me, PJ. I did that before you did red deck. A very brief summary of Final Fantasy 4. It's a classic Final Fantasy. It's a cool time. Final Fantasy 5, I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to continuing the Final Fantasies. So Final Fantasies and Metaphor are two of the bigger games that I'm happy to keep playing. Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii will also be a bigger game. I barely remember playing Going Under. That's not going to be on here. There's a few games I played like a little bit of that, like they're under 2 hours maybe, and I don't know how to feel about it. Will it be my Final Fantasy? My Final Fantasy pitch deck involves you and one of these slides. I think it might be the 4th slide. I played Super Amazing Wagon Adventure. See? I played so many games this year, and I don't remember some of them. But here, do you know what the weird thing is, right? I should play your top 20 games next year, Straight Face, and you should play mine. Do you know what the weird thing is? When you say games in chat, I'm like, oh yeah, I did, and I remember that. I'm like, oh yeah, Super Amazing Wagon Adventure. Incredible game. Good fun. Highly recommend it. Really glad that I was able to play it. I believe Straight Face got it for me. Thank you for that. It was a grand time. Super fun, super quick. Solid time. I don't know if I played Project Wingman this year. I might have, but it might have been a last year sitch. I don't remember. Midnight Suns I did play this year, so Project Wingman probably was this year. These were back in spring. Anything that happened in spring was a bit rough. But again, you say Project Wingman, and I'm like, well, I remember what I played of Project Wingman. You say Midnight Suns, I'm like, oh, I remember Midnight Suns. Midnight Suns was good fun. I'm locking eyes with Fallout 4, and I don't have any recollection of it. I don't know what I did. I apparently played Fallout 4 in a fugue state, like stated before, and I don't know how. I don't know if when I started Fallout 4, my PlayStation started to emit, like, carbon monoxide, and I passed out. I don't know if 76 was last year. But again, I remember... No, I did play some 76 this year, and I had fun with that, and I remember it fucking too, because I remember going to the... like, the reenactment area and, like, going through all the parts there. It was great. It was good fun. I remember doing that. I don't remember Fallout 4. And I feel so strange about it. Because this is, like, this sounds like a bit that I'm doing. And it's not a bit. What did I do? I've spent too much time on that game to not have any memory of it. And yet I don't. Skyrim with Adam? Oh man, I've got to do more Skyrim with Adam. That's a good time. What do you mean most of Bethesda's games have been forgettable for a while? There's... the Indiana Jones game seems pretty good. Fallout 76 was pretty fun, I remember that. Skyrim was pretty fun. I remember that. Honestly, here's the thing, I don't want to turn this into dogging on Fallout 4. I'm actually going to go to bat for Fallout 4, a game I don't remember. Because I liked Fallout 4 when I played it. It's not as much as I like New Vegas, but I've enjoyed Fallout 4 when I've played it. This year, however, I don't know where it is in my head. Skyrim is Eternal Pitch Jack. We can't say it's 15 years ago. Also, like, what was since Skyrim that was forgettable? Like, Deathloop seemed pretty cool. Prey was pretty cool. I enjoyed Fallout 4 before. This year, however, I think I'm not well. But, like, in a funny way. Not, like, in a way where it's like, oh, no, everybody should be worried. Oh, no, Vaguely's going to fall off a cliff and turn into a pile of goo. I'm like, in a way where... yeah, Fallout 4's biggest fan, can't wait to remember what he even was. I'm choking to death thinking about Fallout 4. But yeah, no memory whatsoever. I think I played it as a way to try and de-stress from uni. But I have no memory of what I did in it. It's gonna fall off a cliff and turn to a pile. No, no, no! I did play uni, and I graduated this year. So that was another thing I did this year. I graduated from my university. I got my certificate last week, and that was pretty cool. That was pretty neat. I hope you've all played some good stuff this year that you can remember. And I hope that next year I hope that next year we all play something that at the end of the year we think that was worth the time I spent on it. That was a meaningful experience that I will carry forward with me. For me on this list, that's Infinite Wealth and Rebirth probably, and also Balatro, I reckon. Some of these were replays, so I'm not counting them. Lethal Company I'll carry through with me. But I hope next year I've got a few more. I hope next year I've got some games that when I look back on, I think, do you know what? That is ingrained into my soul. In a way that will make me a better person going forward. Or a worse person in a funny way. Because that's the only two options. Yote will hopefully be Pog. I hope everything we play is Pog. There are some hours before the new year. I think I'm going to take a break. And we're going to go away for a bit. And so that this ends where it ends. And then we might come back in a little bit. And I'll probably just play some Cyberpunk. I'll play a game that I have no strong feelings about. And I'll see if I can develop some. Because I'd like to. I'm not playing Fallout 4. Because if I play Fallout 4 and the new year rolls over, I then have to play... For those of you who just came out for this, or for those of you who are watching this on YouTube and are then closing out and you've somehow stayed until the end, you're more powerful than I am. Enjoy your day, evening, afternoon, whatever it is where you are. If I don't catch you before, have a good new year. And thanks for coming. Thanks for listening to me waffle about a lot of games I did remember, a few games I enjoyed, and one that I don't think actually exists. I think I'm being gaslit by the Sony Corporation. Bye, gamers. And I may see you in a wee bit.